Hi there everyone, my name's Dave West. I hope we're all doing well. So welcome back to the ultimate video test. And this evening I'm checking out the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 4 in low light conditions. Now, as with all ultimate video tests, I'll leave all of the main camera specifications down in the description. And I'll just run through some of the high level features throughout this video to help save you some time. So we're starting off as always with the front facing camera. And this is a 10 megapixel fixed focus camera, and this can record video at up to 4K at 60 frames per second. So starting off the test at 4K at 30 frames per second. Now, I haven't tried this phone in low light at 60 yet. Most phones do pretty badly because 60 frames per second means it's taking twice as long for the light to hit the sensor, and therefore the image looks noticeably darker. Now, the Galaxy Z Fold 4 has electronic image stabilization and really good stereo sound recording. Now, I don't know what the video is going to look like once it starts playing back and it's being processed, but right now it looks pretty good. But I know when it comes to playback, the image can tend to look a bit crummy. So you let me know what you think down in the comments. Now, as I said, 4K 60 does tend to look a lot darker, and you can see if you look at the background, it is noticeably duller than when recording at 4K at 30 frames per second. But for the sake of completeness, I just wanted to show you how it looks at 4K 60 using the selfie camera, so you can see how it looks and make your own mind up. Right, so spinning around to the rear cameras then. So we've got three cameras here. This being the 12 megapixel ultra wide lens. You've got the 50 megapixel main lens, and you've also got the 10 megapixel 2x telephoto zoom camera. Now, a bit of a mishmash in terms of frame rate and resolution here. So the ultra-wide camera can record at a maximum of 4K at 30 frames per second. The main lens could do a maximum of up to 4K at 60 frames per second, as can the 2x zoom lens. But I suspect that the zoom lens at 60 is just cropping off the main camera. So starting off at 4K at 30 then. As I said at the start of the video, when you're recording the video, it looks pretty nice and smooth. But when you play it back, once the stabilization has been applied, it can look a little bit shaky. But you let me know what you think. Now, as with all ultra-wide cameras, especially when recording in the dark like this, you'll notice it's noticeably darker than when recording with the main lens. That's because ultra-wide lenses are typically a bit smaller than the main camera. So for comparison, there is the main camera, and this is a 50 megapixel lens, and I believe this has been ported over from the Galaxy S22 series, and you can see there's a big difference in the amount of light which is being pulled into the lens. Now, compared to the naked eye, the actual image looks a little bit luminous. Like these hedges here don't actually look like that colour, neither does the grass. But I think overall for nighttime video, this lens actually does a really good job. You could always alter the colour temperature in editing if you wish, just to make it look a bit more realistic. But I think this is a really good effort, considering it's using slightly older hardware from last year. And like the front-facing camera, you get the electronic image stabilization, which can be toggled on or off if you fancy it. So turning it off will give you slightly better stabilization without the jaggy effects that you can sometimes see. So concentrating on the pub down the road there. I beg your pardon, this is actually a 3x telephoto lens, not 2. Apologies for that. The good thing is at 30 frames per second, it is actually using the zoom lens, so it's not cropping off the main camera. and you can see the image stabilization is also available. Just have to be a bit more careful with movement. But it's just to give you an illustration of how it all looks when using these three cameras. Okay, so moving up to 4K at 60 frames per second then. Now don't forget, the ultra wide angle camera won't allow you to use 4K at 60 or even 1080p at 60. So this is the main lens. Now there's no switching on the fly available for the main or the zoom camera at 4K at 60. Now usually the image can go a lot darker when recorded at 60 frames per second. And for those who may want to ask, this is with the auto frames per second option switched off, which would usually drop down the frame rate to suit the darker lighting conditions. But I think this is doing a really good job, considering most of the time all of the available light just collapses when recorded at 60. This is actually really decent. Now one lens which doesn't cope just as well is this 3x optical zoom lens. Now this is only 10 megapixel, and you can see at 60 frames per second it is noticeably darker than when using the main camera. So just stand still for a second. Not brilliant, but serviceable if you do need to use it. Okay, so as well as the main video mode, you also get this super steady mode. As I've been saying for God knows how long now, these modes are becoming a bit redundant, given that the stabilization of the main video mode is actually just as good in my opinion. This does give you a little bit more stabilization on the left-right axis, so there's not so much foot wobble. Now the super steady mode tops out at 1080p and allows you to record at up to 60 frames per second. So this is at 60 frames per second. It's only available on the main lens. So as I go into this slightly darker area here, you can see that the available light collapses a bit. For comparison, here is the ultra wide lens using the super steady mode, and you can see the available light just collapses completely, with just the street lighting becoming a bit of a saviour here to let you know that I'm at least still moving. So not brilliant, but for the purposes of completeness, this is how it looks with the ultra wide camera using the super steady mode. So there we are then. There's a quick look then all of the video modes available on the Galaxy Z Fold 4 in nighttime conditions. Now the only one I've missed out here is super slow-mo, which looks trash in low light because it needs light to actually work and look good, and also the portrait video mode, which doesn't really work that well in darker conditions like this. But I'll include that in the main video testing more normal daylight conditions. But you let me know what you think of the video at night with the Galaxy Z Fold 4 from both the front and the rear cameras. If you've got any comments or questions about anything you've seen in the video, then please do let me know down in the comments and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And don't forget, if you're new around here, then please do consider subscribing. There's more videos like this coming on the channel very, very soon. But for now, this has been my ultimate video test at night with the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 4. My name is Dave West, and I'll catch you guys later.